This is the reality of unemployment in Toronto. I went to a job fair and this was the line to get in. And then as I got out, the line was even bigger for the people who were waiting to get in. Employers weren't actually hiring. They'd ask you to scan a QR code and apply online, or they'd ask you to sign up to their platform and things like that. Companies that were actually hiring were for cleaning and truck driving, which didn't suit me. And to be honest, this was so not worth it. 0 out of 10, do not recommend. They bribed us with a tote bag and a cookie. That's all.
Unemployment went up in the month of December, but analysts are still choosing to look at it as a glass half full scenario. Canada added 67,000 jobs. The good news, and also unemployment rate rose now overall across the board in Canada up to 6.8%. That is a uptick from November by 0.3%, primarily because more people entered the workforce looking for work rather than a surge in layoffs. But I want to draw your attention to youth unemployment. That has been the driving factor as to why unemployment has been at the rate it has been all of 2025. It has been the tariffs, it has been the trade war, and it has been inflation, where employers are quite shy and reluctant to hire new grads and young people with not that much experience. On the top left of your screen here, boy oh boy, has it ever been a great year for those in the healthcare and social services sector. On the top left of your screen here, healthcare added more than 20,000 jobs. Meanwhile, on the bottom left of your screen here, tech and science losing 18,000 jobs in the month of December. So those are the big winners and losers. And Ontario, the unemployment rate now almost reaching 8%. So 8% of the population of Ontario roughly now looking for jobs. Analysts say that they believe the Bank of Canada, based on these job numbers, will keep the current policy rate at 2.25%. So things are set to hold steady, or at least expected to, at the end of this month, guys.
If you found a job in this insane job market, congratulations. But also, where are you finding these jobs? Because it's not LinkedIn for me. It's not Indeed. Definitely not Indeed. Networking hasn't done anything for me. Referrals haven't helped. Where are you guys finding jobs?
Hi, folks. We've got some new job numbers just released this morning. Unfortunately, they underline the serious problems in the Canadian job market. We're seeing a 0.3% increase in the overall unemployment rate, a 0.5% increase in the youth unemployment rate. 73,000 people lost their jobs in Canada in the last month, and we now have the highest public sector employment ever. These are very concerning numbers. They underline the need for a real jobs plan. They underline the fact that the Liberal approach to jobs in the economy simply is not working. We need to unleash the economy, fix immigration, fix training, and build homes where the jobs are. That was the Conservative jobs plan that we released in the fall, and we continue to call on the government to implement the constructive proposals we're putting forward. Very bad job numbers out today. Again, a 0.3% increase in the unemployment rate, 0.5% increase for youth, 73,000 jobs lost.
Hello guys, welcome back once again to the channel. Now, unemployment crisis in Canada is getting worse every day. Canadians are confirming that it has risen to over 6.8 according to statistics, and the Liberal government is defending itself by telling Canadians that in the past month they've added 8,200 jobs for the Canadian economy. But Canadians are asking, if you've added 8,200 jobs, first of all, where are these jobs? And second of all, 8,200 jobs are not enough, because millions of Canadians are unemployed. Millions of Canadians can't get these jobs that you are adding. Millions of Canadians up to today, they have no jobs, and the unemployment crisis or the unemployment rate is rising, yet you are claiming you've added job. Now, how can unemployment rise yet you are claiming that you've added these jobs? And in this video, let's break this down while Canadians are commenting on to this and looking into the statistics. Then we shall be commenting about it too.
Headlines like these, that really confused the average Canadian. How can the unemployment rate keep rising when the government claimed to have added 8,200 jobs in December? Most people would be like, easy. It's because the private sector is taking more hits in joblessness than the government is, because the government's always expanding regardless. So that is an educated take. But there's more. While more people looking for jobs can push up the unemployment rate, the increase suggests that Canadians who are on the sidelines of the job market might now feel more optimistic about their ability to find work. So what they're saying is the act of applying for a job or completely giving up on looking for a job can affect the unemployment rate. So technically, they don't even really know. They don't have any hard numbers on this. They don't know who's really working or not. So this 6.8 number that they're saying, it's fugazi. But I really want you guys to pay attention to this paragraph right here. So job gains were higher for those 55 and over, but the job market remained difficult for young Canadians as the youth unemployment rate for those aged 15 to 24 rose by half a percentage point to 13.3. The figure was down from 14.7% recorded September, a 15-year high outside the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm not trying to diss boomers or anything, but job gains were only found for those 55 and over. Like, I remember living in a world when you were pushing 60, you were thinking about retirement, not a career change. But I totally understand, because this country has robbed us of everything, including our dignity. Any country that believes in a prosperous future would prioritize putting its younger population in a better position because they are the future. They don't really like bringing up how demoralized young Canadians really are because they're completely replacing them with foreign workers who they're banking on as a future voting bloc. Like, dude, they murdered a 26-year-old for depression. They have to write these headlines in a specific way to make it seem like they're getting shit done when chaos is really about to erupt. Because this is not a real number. I guarantee you the youth unemployment, which is the most important, is probably over 20. But honestly, I barely know what I'm talking about half the time. So just read what the professional has to say.
Canada's unemployment jumped to 6.8%, and that's not a soft landing. Here's the part nobody should ignore. We added jobs, yet unemployment still rose. Why? Because 73,000 more Canadians started looking for work and they couldn't find it. That's not growth, that's pressure. If we zoom in Ontario, ground zero for housing, unemployment is now 7.9%. That's one of the highest provincial rates in the country. Youth unemployment, 13.3%. Those are first-time buyers. Like, they don't buy houses without paychecks. And here's the stat that actually matters for real estate. Every major housing downturn in Canada was preceded by a weakening labor market. Not falling prices, not rate hikes. Jobs go first. Mortgage arrears don't spike immediately. They lag, but they always follow. So the real question isn't will rates come down? It's how much financial stress households can absorb before something gives.
People in particular who are really feeling the pressures of a difficult job market. CTV's Kimberly Johnson joins us in studio with the details on this. Kimberly.
Well, Patricia, those youth unemployment numbers, we're seeing improvements in October and November. But the latest job numbers see the unemployment rate for those between the ages of 15 to 24 has gone up. And those young job seekers say that it's tough out there.
I don't see myself quitting under any circumstances because I don't think that there's another job waiting around the corner right now.
Israel Thomas says that she's holding on to her part-time job even as she graduates and looks for a job in her field later this year.
It's a bit scary. Won't go as far as say like hopeless, but like it's intimidating. I don't know anybody who'd be willing to quit their job, like if they had a bad job right now.
Canada's national unemployment rate sitting at 6.8%, even as the economy added jobs. In Ottawa, that's up higher at 7.4%, up from 7.3%.
You know the economy is cooked when these days, in order to scam people, scammers are pretending to be jobs. Yeah. You know, back in the days, it used to be, oh, you just won the lottery or you won this amount of money or you won a free phone. But now it's jobs. Like, oh, you apply for a job. You got the position. Click this link. That's how bad things gotten.
Most Canadians don't realize this, but they're one bad year away from having to work forever, and the numbers are absolutely brutal. So according to a report from BDO Canada, 53% of Canadians are living paycheck to paycheck, okay? And that's no surprise. But nearly half of them couldn't handle a $500 unexpected expense without going into debt. Now imagine that same person trying to save for retirement. It's impossible. Add to that the rising cost of everything, okay? Housing has doubled in many markets. Groceries are up almost 30%. Utilities are rising, childcare is fucking astronomical, and interest rates have pushed millions of homeowners to the brink. And all while this is happening, wages are barely moving, right? A recent study showed that the real wage growth in Canada over the last decade is close to zero. Zero. So every year you're working harder for your money that's worth less, right? And that's the math that most people are living under. And the scary part, even people who think they're doing okay, people with decent jobs, people with benefits, people with some savings are still wildly behind. Okay, retirement experts warn that the average Canadian will need between 1.3 and 1.7 million dollars to retire comfortably. But most people in their 50s have less than $100,000 saved. And here's where things get even darker, okay? If the economy dips, if your company restructures, if your industry takes a hit, if you face a layoff at 45, 50, 55, right, your retirement isn't delayed, it's erased. Older workers almost never earn back their previous salary after a layoff. One economist said it bluntly, okay? If you get laid off after 50, often that's the death of your retirement. And why you're seeing so many people, especially Gen X, walking around with quiet anxiety, pretending everything's fine on the outside while wondering how the hell they're going to survive beyond 65, well, that's it, okay? But here's the thing no one tells you. You don't fix this by budgeting harder. You don't solve it by cutting back. You don't magically save $1 million by skipping lattes and waiting for raises that never come. The only solution that actually moves the needle here is earning more.
Is anyone else looking for a job right now in Ontario? I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but like, I've been in between jobs before and I found jobs or gotten interviews pretty quickly. Still took, some time and lots of applying, but I've been applying to mostly like everything that's out there related to my field and even outside of my field. And even in general, just getting like the job notifications daily. There just isn't that many jobs out there, it seems. Like, and the jobs that are out there are all like contracts, like 12-month contracts, things like that. Even then I didn't get the job, And I'd interview for some of these contract positions and it's like, yeah, you don't get any vacation, you don't get any benefits, and it's a 9-month contract. It's just like, okay. Like there always were contracts here and there, but it just seems like very prevalent right now. Like, especially even with like the big companies are doing it. Whereas before you'd see it, but like the big companies usually be like a permanent position. But yeah, I don't know. Is anyone else experiencing this? I read something the other day. I think Ontario's unemployment rate is up to like 7%, which is the highest, I believe, since the pandemic, and the highest before that, it's the highest since, I think, like 2014. So I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it's a weird time, I'm in like the creative space, so I don't know if it's just the creative space or if everyone across different fields are feeling this, but it's tough out there. Let me know what you think.
No, what's even more is that parents are weeping for their children. The companies are cutting off employers, young employers, layoffs. They are now hiring temporary foreign workers with subsidized wages, and maybe they gonna be paid for just employing temporary foreign workers by the government. Parents are mourning for the young generation. They can't get jobs. Young generation go and apply for these jobs, and the companies tells them that they need experience. Now you are out of school, out of college, maybe university, with your degree and your high-end education skills, but you haven't worked anywhere else. It's your first time applying for a job, and the companies are telling you need to have 10 years of experience, 5 years of experience, or 3 years of experience. The young Canadians end up being jobless. You've seen from the age of 15 to 24, they are the most who are affected. And for the elder ones, they'll have to work up to the 80s, up to the 90s, because, well, the salaries they're receiving, it's not even enough to cater for the Canadian economy. The economy is so tight. Things are super, super expensive, ranging from groceries to houses to gas, everything. People are working from paycheck to paycheck. Others are working full-time jobs plus part-time jobs so that they can sustain the hit they are receiving from the Liberal government. So the unemployment crisis is literally slowly killing Canadians every day. If you go all over TikTok, Canadians, millions of them, are complaining about this unemployment crisis. But what the government is defending itself with is that they are trying. Well, we will just give you 8,200 jobs for December and then we will see what you can do in January. Now, the question remains 8,200 jobs for 10 million unemployed Canadians. It's not even 1% of it. It's not. And a fun fact is that these 8,200 jobs, most of them are private sectors. And for the government one, well, they say it is advisable for us to hire temporary foreign workers. Immigrants are entering into Canada in mass population. They are also fighting for these jobs. And somehow they end up getting these jobs, and then Canadians ends up being unemployed in their own country, and the cycle repeats, and it goes on. So to cut the long story short, everyone, including the young generation, the elder ones, the middle-aged, everyone in Canada is literally feeling the heat of unemployment crisis. Yet the government still blames COVID-19 pandemic, tariffs, Donald Trump's tariffs, the war in Venezuela, the funding in Ukraine. They just come up with a very petty the issue so that they can try to convince Canadians that we are not offering new jobs because of, Donald Trump's tariffs has affected us. We have not yet healed from the COVID-19 pandemic. Donald Trump just took over Venezuela the other day. That is total nonsense, guys. Or what do you think? Tell me what you think in the comment section, because things are not pretty at all and Canadians needs a solution. And unless there is will to change, there will be no change in Canada. And change begins with Canadians and Canadians themselves. Whatever you want to do with this information, it's up to you guys. Subscribe. See you in the next.